The Tao of Self-Confidence, Episode 300. Welcome to the Tao of Self-Confidence, where I share stories of amazing women who have discovered their inner journey to self-confidence. Visit our website at thetaoofselfconfidence.com. Your inner journey to self-confidence awaits. Well, hello friend. Welcome to the Tao of Self-Confidence, where I share stories of amazing women who have discovered their inner journey to self-confidence. I'm your host today, Sheena Yap Chan, and today I have a phenomenal lady on the show today. She is a voice actress and also a podcaster, so I'm really excited to have her on and share her story with us. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to Brenda Joan Wong. Brenda, how are you today? Maybe you can fill in a little bit more about yourself to our listeners.
Hi, well, thanks for having me, Sheena. I'm doing well, first off, and yes, I am a voice actress based in Los Angeles, and I have a podcast, sort of, I guess, of a similar nature all about self-confidence and other things, which is called Quarter Life Crisis. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that. And Brenda, what's your cultural background?
My culture background, I am Chinese American, born and raised in America here, actually in Los Angeles. So beyond that, I am a very American. I guess that's kind of the best way that I can put that. Yeah, born and raised in LA, be a first generation American. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that. And what would be your favorite self-confidence quote?
Man. There's so many. I have so many. I actually used to have just a wall of Post-it notes with a bunch of quotes on them. But there's one I feel is most relevant to me in the most recent months or recent times. It's a bit of a long one, so I hope you'll bear with me. But this comes from a fellow voice actor and musician. His name is Troy Baker. And he has this great quote about perfection, which is something I've always struggled with. And he says like this, it goes, "Do you know why we find the violin such a beautiful instrument? It's because it's slightly out of tune with itself. It's dissonant. It's imperfect. And we find that attractive. We find perfection didactic. So be imperfect. Don't try to be perfect because you'll never, ever, ever get there. Find the beauty in your imperfection. That's where you will excel."
Thanks for sharing that. And I think, growing up as an Asian woman, we've been so worried about being that perfect daughter or perfect wife or sister, whatever it is, that we feel like we have to always be perfect so that we can be considered as the good girl, the obedient girl, and it's just really draining. So, it's great to know that, we don't always have to be perfect. We can just be ourselves. We can make mistakes and figure it out along the way. And that there's nothing really wrong when you make a mistake, because sometimes it can actually lead us to the right things. So I really love that quote that you mentioned. And, in your own words, how would you define self-confidence?
More deep questions. Yeah, no, first of all, I do agree. I agree wholeheartedly. Being a woman of Asian American background, you have to grow up, or you don't have to grow up, being perfect, but that's definitely how we feel being raised, that you're forced to be perfect and kind of fit this mold that is not just from our parents, but, within society of that, model minority stereotype. Self-confidence, my definition of self-confidence is, to put it simply, it's a belief in yourself. It's a belief in believing in yourself and your skills and your talent and your worth. I think it's not enough to just say, self-confidence, just being confident in yourself, but confident, I feel, can be sort of exaggerated in some ways. Like, confidence can always have sort of a negative connotation to it, where, say someone is, you can definitely call someone confident, but, just a little too much confidence, someone can become or seem arrogant. But I feel that it's too simple to call it that, I strongly believe that it's really about not just, or rather I should say, I think confidence has this impression that it's sort of a shallow level of, or a face, putting on a face of just seeming like you are a strong person. But I think it's actually much more deeper than that. I think self-confidence should be really more of an inner strength. So I would say, to me, self-confidence is about a belief and a strength in yourself and your abilities.
Thanks for sharing that. And, I totally agree with having, inner strength, because it's something that, we deal with every day. We go on through challenges, and it's, working from inside to muster up the courage to do something. That's what confidence is. Instead of, saying, I'm confident, being confident is you don't even need to tell people that.
Yeah.
It's just doing the work, showing others, and inspiring them along the way. So I really love that definition that you mentioned. And, what was your life like before your discovery of self-confidence?
See, that's tricky because I don't feel like, at least to me personally, I don't feel like there was a definite one-time discovery of self-confidence. I think it's something that we as people, especially as women, constantly have to keep rediscovering over and over. Even if we think that we've got a grasp of self-confidence, we can easily lose it, within a period of time, whether it's like the next day or within the next couple of years. So I think it's just this ongoing process of re-grasping what our self-confidence is and our believing in ourselves and our worth. But I can definitely think about when I was younger and I didn't yet become to realize who I was as a person. I would say I was definitely very lost. I was lost and going through depression when I didn't even know what depression was. I placed a lot of value of myself and other people and kind of attaching myself to others, whether it's through friendships or relationships or through family, and feeling like I had to be validated through these relationships and letting other people define me for who I was. In short, I was pretty miserable for a long period of time before I got to figure out that I didn't need to put my worth or need to place my value in other people. Yeah, so it was definitely a struggle, but I think everyone has to do that. I think everyone goes through that similar process of, since when you're younger, it's hard to not only figure out who you are as a person, but to place yourself amongst your friends and relationships, your family, and society. And so you are so easily impressionable and can be twisted and pulled and turned and every sort of way to just fit in. So yeah, it was a struggle for me.
Thanks for sharing that, Brenda. And I know it's something that most women, especially Asian women, deal with, especially seeking validation from others and feeling lost, not knowing who we are, because all our lives we've been told what to do versus what we wanted to do. And
yeah,
what was that point in your life when you realized you were more than enough, that you knew what you were worth and you just went out there and did what you wanted? What was that aha moment?
Another good question. Again, I do feel that I had several of these aha moments. I think they came at different periods of my life. I would say each one was sort of relating to a different, I guess, category of my life. Like the first one was definitely more of a emotional, interpersonal level of, I remember in high school, just being so depressed and really self-pitying myself because, of course, it involved a boy. And, when you go through that, one first really hard breakup, and as a girl who, in high school, again, as an Asian woman, feeling the immense pressures of having to succeed and the physical pressures of being feminine and feeling desirable and that weird sexual tension of puberty and things. I think my first aha moment was just realizing that I didn't need to belong in a clique and didn't need a significant other or another person to validate my feelings and my self-worth as a person. That was definitely probably number one aha moment. I'd say within the next decade or next couple years or so, another aha moment came with, again, kind of fitting in, realizing I didn't have to kind of give into peer pressure in my years of college, and then definitely realizing that pressures, just constant pressures. I feel like now I'm looking back, my life was just constantly under pressure to be something that I didn't want to be, or be someone or live a life that was prescribed for me rather than creating my own life. And, I think I was just really tired of following some type of career that wasn't really for me. And specifically, I've been an artist my entire life in the form of just visual arts and self-expression in some kind of form. And I'd say the most complete aha moment in the most recent years is just realizing I didn't want to live this life of the sort of classic suburban life of I need to be living or working in an office and having a nice salary, a comfortable life. That wasn't for me, and sort of selling myself out or selling my soul to people who didn't believe in me or really saw my full potential as a person, not just in my work. And understanding that even though I was told and I was told and taught that this was the life that I was supposed to be living, whether it was for myself or for my family, my parents, that I would be okay if I didn't live that kind of life. If I instead went a different route, not going for a traditional route of making money and providing for myself and my future in that traditional way that looks good on paper. Something about just seeing other people's success stories and realizing like it's not the end of the world if you don't go the simple cubicle route of working that kind of 9-to-5 life, that I would be okay, because I think that was my greatest fear, that I'm not good enough to succeed in an unconventional, quote unquote unconventional life that society doesn't exactly recognize as success, if that makes any sense. Being, whether that's living a creative life, completely that's up to you in your own path that you define for yourself. Yeah, that was probably one of the moments, just having so many jobs that really did not work out for me and realizing like, I'm going to be okay. I'm strong enough, and worst case scenario, like I'm not going to end up on the street. I'm smarter than that in the fact that I would find some way to make this work. Even if I do hit some kind of low point, I have the strength, I have the knowledge, I have the connections and friendships to make it work.
Thanks for sharing that. And I think that's something that we all go through, right? I mean, sometimes we may have to go through a couple of jobs, a couple of businesses that we set up to realize, like, it's okay to fail forward, right? And just keep going, because it builds strength, it builds character, it shows us that, we can fall down and get back up again, fall down, get back up again until, we reach that goal that we want. And there's nothing wrong with that. A lot of people feel like they're not worthy when they fail, right? I mean,
it's hard.
Yeah, I've been guilty of it, and it's something that over time we realize, like, so many people fail, and then yet so many people succeed at the same time. And it's part of the process, it's part of the journey. And to the woman who's listening to your episode, she may be going through a similar journey. What would be that one tip you would give to her?
I feel like I've got different kinds of advice, but first off is hang in there. Hang in there. I know it's tough because I've been through it. I'm still going through it. As I said, we're constantly relearning what our self-confidence is and who we are as people as we continue to grow and meet new people and learn new things, see new faces, live different experiences. And it's hard. So first off, I just have to say, stick through it. And I applaud you because it is so hard. And a lot of people don't have the good fortune of being able to even get to the first step of gaining self-confidence. Some people are, as sad to say, in lesser situations, more unfortunate situations of, not being enabled to have their self-confidence and learn who they are, who they truly are as people. So hats off to you. It's a hard journey. Beyond that, I would say just remember who you are as a person and remember the things that are very important to you, and don't ever compromise yourself or the things that you do value and things that are valuable to you. Don't ever shrink yourself or become small for other people just because you think that they're just loud and being obnoxious and telling you that you need to be doing this, you need to be doing that, or maybe that the people around you are not being supportive. Just try not to give in. Don't become small for people who refuse to grow.
Thanks for sharing those tips, and I totally agree. I remember there was one lady who quoted, "You are too big to be too small." So, it's a great quote.
Yeah.
And it's like so true. We try to, dumb ourselves down or, devalue our worth for someone else, not realizing that's really hurting us and that person at the same time. So great tips that you mentioned. And if our listeners wanted to get to know a little bit more about you and what you do, is there any links or social media profiles we can connect with?
Yeah, sure thing. You can find me on Twitter at Brenda J. Wong, my middle initial. On Facebook, You can actually find my podcast on Facebook and on iTunes if you search Quarter Life Crisis. I think there's a couple out there with a similar name, but I am on Quarter Life Crisis on iTunes. It says Quarter Life Crisis, hosted by Brenda Wong. And if you wanted to take a look into my voice acting endeavors, I do have a website, and my website is my full name of BrendaJoanWong.com.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that, Brenda. And to our listeners, if you want to connect with Brenda, you can also head on over to the taoofselfconfidence.com and search for Brenda's name. Her show notes will pop up along with everything else we talked about. And I just want to thank Brenda for taking the time to share her story with us. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. This was amazing. And I think what you're doing and what you're sharing with people is great.
Not a problem. It was really an honor to have you on and share your story. So thanks again. And to our listeners, be on the lookout for another new episode of another amazing woman's journey to self-confidence. And we'll talk to you soon. Bye for now. Thank you for tuning in to another amazing episode of the Tao of Self-Confidence. Want to learn how you can use podcasting to market your business? Download your free report by visiting our website at thetaoofselfconfidence.com. Your inner journey to self-confidence awaits.